Hey everyone, this video I am going to talk about the code review, the best practices that must be followed and the anti-patterns that must be avoided. So before proceeding further, let's see where this is coming into picture in development life cycle, right? So this is you developer and you have completed a feature. You have completed the coding about it and you want to merge this to production branch of your Git, Bitbucket, anything that you are using. So it can be production, it can be master, right? So you raise PR, means pull request, right? So we are here in this discussion, we are here at this point. So all the review happens at this point. So why review happens? The basic funda behind this is a single person who is doing the coding, he cannot follow all the guidelines, he cannot remember all the things that has to be done in coding, right? If I talk about the readability, the best practices about coding, and whether you are missing about something or not. So it's a teamwork, not a single work. But the feature development you have done, you alone have done, so that has to be reviewed before passing it to the production, to avoid that if you are not missing or breaking any existing thing in the production, right? So let's go ahead and see this, how we can do it in effective way. These are the certain points that I have noted down. First one, it says that find bugs and security issues early. So this is the one reason that code review is done. Second point is improving the readability of the code. Next, it says that provides a safety net to ensure all tasks are fully completed, nothing is missing. To make sure design is good, to share the knowledge, and dot dot, and the list goes on. You can state other reasons as well, and what you think about the code review, why it should be done before sending it to production. Coming to the next point, code review best practices, what has to be followed. So first point, it says that when you start review, you should make sure that code base is not very large, right? So 400 lines at a time, it's just a figure, it should be around this. Do not review for more than 60 minutes at a time. So why it says, it's about the human behavior. When you do a lot of time a single thing, there are chances that you miss some points. So at a time you should not extend the review time, about 60 minutes, right? So it should be around this only, not more than this. Authors should annotate source code before the review. So there should be proper review comment, and the reviewer should understand what the author is trying to say before appending the review comments. Establish a process for fixing defects found. So if any defect is found in the PR, in the pull request, and reviewer is trying to make that point, so that should be there should be a process that has to be followed between the author and reviewer. Inspection rate should be under line of 500 line of code per hour. So you can relate this point with this one and with this one. Set goals and capture metrics. So by the time, imagine you are first developer in your company, you are the first pull request that you are raising. So there comes out some standards and guidelines that has to be documented, and that metric should be monitored properly. So use checklist. So why this? The reviewer should be clear about what he is trying to find in the source code, in the code that author has raised for the PR, right? Then it becomes easy to review and append the review comments in that one, right? So these are the few best practices that I have pointed out. You can mention others as well, as per your practice and as per the standard that the company is following, right? Coming to the next point, anti-patterns. This is very important. So instead of remembering the list of best practices, if I have idea about that, what I should not do in this pull request or in this review or while authoring the code, that can be that can be easily followed, right? So I know that what I have to avoid to write. So there are few checklists about that, but that I should not do, right? So these are the few points about that. First one is the nitpicking. Second is the inconsistent feedback, and last minute design changes, and ping pong reviews, and last one is the ghost reviewer. So let me go ahead and explain you each one of these one by one, right? So that it's clear. So when you are reviewing code of any person, any author, so you should avoid nitpicking, right? So consider the review comments of this kind. You should be using tabs, not spaces. I do not like where the braces are in this section. You do not have a blank line at the end of your file. Your enums are in uppercase and they should be in sentence case. It's silly for the reviewer and as well as well as the developer as well to put these comment and read that comment and then appending those in the source code, right? So why it should not be made by the reviewer? So it is not that your source code should pass with these things in the production. I'm trying to say that there are some tools, static code checker like SonarQube, check marks, check style. So these are the some tools that all of these things that you have written, they done automatically, right? So when you integrate these tools with your build system, when you are building your source code, then they can point out these things properly and without any mess, right? They will not miss anything. You can configure the rule as well in these one that you want to follow in your product, in your source code, right? So that has to be not done by the human but the tools that are available in the market. And most of the time and most of the checking, they are done, they are open source and provided free of cost, right? So these are the things about nitpicking that comes under anti-pattern. Next, inconsistent feedback. What I meant by that, so it is basically that if I have raised PR1 and PR2, right, and the same person is reviewing, so in PR1 he has given some feedback and appended that, and in the second PR he has by chance given some comment that is inconsistent with this one. So this should be avoided. The example if I talk about, so should the code be moving towards a more modern style of Java, or is it more important that the code is consistent and therefore continues to use classic constructs everywhere? So there are frequent releases of any library that are in use in a code, right? So even if I talk about the Java, they have 6 months release, 6-month release cycle. So there are new features, new best practices are coming day by day. So there may be some of your team member can say that you should follow the modern guidelines, and some of the team member can say that you should stick around the classic style that we are using. So this should be avoided. It should be consistent, what you want to follow, right? And the second example, if I talk about the important to have order of one read operation on the data structure, or the their section where order of n is acceptable. So this should be agreed upon and only one should be followed throughout. So that there is consistency in the feedback and we can predict that what is I'm going to write in the next source codes. This is the one. Next, last minute design changes. Code review is not a place to review the design that has been approved earlier before starting the coding. Classic Code Gateway review says that when the review is raised, all the basic things like unit test cases, integration test cases, and build is passing properly. So design changes should not be done. It must be avoided, right? But it doesn't mean that you cannot do. If there are any showstopper changes, you can do, but it should be avoided to make the process consistent. Next, talking about the ping pong review. So let's see the cycle of the review, how it is started. Review started, number of review comments you got from the reviewer, then author makes the changes, then it is again with the reviewer who says that, who reviews the code again. He accepts some of the changes that you have done again, and some of those it rejects, and it also adds new review comments. You again make changes, it again goes to reviewer, and it again goes to author. So you see the pattern. This is the infinite cycle that is happening here. It should not extend too much, right? So they should agree on, approve, and let the code go to the production. So this should be avoided. Coming to the next point, host reviewer. This is very important, right? Suppose you have raised the pull request and a reviewer has got the PR and he is waiting for the right time to review the code. Basically, he's postponing that. This is not the right time. I'm not ready to do it. I have some other task to do, and I'm not going to review this one. So what are the reasons behind this? First of all, first case can be there is large code to review. And second thing can be don't know what to review, what things to look for in the code that he is going to review, and not communicating with the author. So this should be, the communication should be frequent. If someone has added you as a reviewer, communicate that. Whether if you do not want to review, just reject that one, right? So I'm not ready to do review. So these are the few points that I wanted to make under the best practices and anti-patterns, right? I hope if in your company there are some guidelines that you're following, if you're coming across some few more points, put that in comment section so that we can discuss and come across few more points, right? So this is all that I wanted to discuss about the code review. And finally, before ending, there are some basic things. Readability, maintainability and extensibility should be keep in mind while reviewing the code. So now with this ending the discussion about the code review, these are the references that you can go ahead and look more about this. This is the blog about JetBrains, Blogs Oracle, and this is the Smart Bear that you can look for, right? So guys, thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next video with yet another talk or code, right? So till then, take care. Bye bye.